Listen carefully, because what you're about to hear is a truth almost no one has had the courage to speak aloud. A quantum secret so powerful that once you remember it, nothing and no one will ever be able to shape your reality again. Since the 1400s, this knowledge has been hidden, locked away by those who knew exactly where to find it. But what I'm about to reveal isn't just dusty history. When you understand this, your consciousness will shift instantly. Your soul will remember that it is infinite. The confusion, the heaviness, the feeling of being lost or stuck, those things will begin to dissolve on their own. Do you know why your chest sometimes aches with that emptiness, like something important is missing? Because the world, the 3D reality you see, was designed to make you forget your power. You were trained to shrink, to fit inside a box, to follow rules that were never yours. And as long as you play by their script, you hide who you truly are. But today, something changes. I'm going to show you where the key has been hidden all along. You've been searching for peace, love, fulfillment out there in the world, but all of it already exists within you, waiting as a quantum possibility for your awareness to turn toward it. And at the end of this video, I'll reveal where that memory is stored. Not in a temple, not in an ancient text, but in something you carry with you every moment without even noticing. Are you ready? Because once your consciousness hears what comes next, there is no going back. Before we move on, send this message to the first person who pops into your mind. You're not just sharing a video. You're sending a quantum signal to a soul that's ready to wake up. Do it now. Strengthen the activation. Your true awareness has been locked away for centuries. Now that you know it exists, it's time to retrieve it. Different civilizations, separated by oceans and mountains, spoke about the same truth. How? They didn't have phones or the internet, yet the message was identical. In Egypt, India, and Greece, the wisest teachers didn't say the soul awakens at birth. They said the soul falls asleep. In our world, birth is seen as the beginning of everything. But in ancient spiritual cultures, birth marked the beginning of the great forgetting. They taught that consciousness originates from the quantum field, a place where all potential exists at once. There's no separation, only pure frequency and memory of who you are. But entering a physical body is like someone pulling a veil over your inner vision. You forget. Thoth taught in Egypt that the body itself is not the problem. The problem is believing you are only the body. In India, sages called this Maya, the grand illusion of separation. Greek philosophers said the soul forgets its divine origin and gets trapped in a cycle of repetition. Do you see the pattern? The truth was the same everywhere, and they didn't reveal it in books. The masters taught it privately, in inner temple chambers where only the prepared were allowed. Why? Because if someone who wasn't ready learned this, their ego, their 3D identity, would use it to inflate itself, to manipulate others, or to escape reality instead of transforming it. True wisdom can only be used when the heart is clear. Knowledge alone isn't enough. You must be ready to live what you learn. That is why silence protected this secret. Those searching for quick answers walked away disappointed. But those who stayed, those who listened in the quiet, heard something deeper, something that was never written down. Something strange happens when that memory begins to return. You realize there's a way to see that isn't through your eyes. For the first time, a quiet awareness appears that doesn't think or judge. It just knows. Thoth called this the single eye. In a state of quantum perception, you don't need to be told what is true. You feel it before you think it. You may have experienced this already, like when you walk into a room and just know something is off, or meet someone and sense something is being hidden, even though they seem polite. That's how your single eye works. It picks up the waveform, the energetic signature of reality before it collapses into 3D facts. Why doesn't this work for most people? Because we're taught to trust thought over feeling. Data is praised, while quiet intuition is forgotten. The single eye perceives what the mind cannot. Here's a simple first exercise. Close your eyes. Stop searching for answers. Be still for 10 seconds. Do not expect anything. Feel. At first, it may seem like nothing, but that nothing is everything. It is the field without points. In that stillness, the single eye awakens. Why is this important? Thinking only brings old ideas. Quantum perception brings clarity that words cannot describe. If this has happened for you, comment, "I trust my silent clarity." This holds your soul's vibration in place and signals that you are shifting attention from 3D logic to inner perception. Click like to strengthen this shift. This sends a resonance through your nervous system, reinforcing higher perception. But this is only the beginning. Understanding the truth is different from living it. You're the only one who can feel the next step. It is the unique vibration of your soul, not a voice, but a frequency of silence that most people never notice. Thoth called it the name that cannot be seen. It is your soul's electromagnetic signature, the invisible name. It is not your job, your past, or your labels. It is your pure vibration in the quantum field. You may have felt this before, a split second when nothing outside changes, but everything feels right. That intuition comes from these tiny gaps of silence. Your inner frequency has been calling since birth, sleeping beneath the noise of the world. When you hear it again, you realize the answers you sought outside were inside all along. But it does more than bring peace. When your core frequency awakens, hidden things surface, traumas, fears, and memories. This is the next door to pass through. Your soul's quiet vibration grows, but the old hurts rise too. Thoth called this clearing the soul, energetic cleansing. Think of your consciousness as a river blocked with rocks, trauma, fear, and low-frequency energy. The water is still there, but it cannot flow freely. Clearing allows the river to move again, but you must face what is stored there. Were these hurts, the pain you try to forget, moments that made you feel unworthy? You're only in pain because you resist it. Every time you run, it builds up in your energy. But when you watch it without judgment, it begins to dissolve. Acceptance moves the energy naturally. Yes, that happened. Yes, I felt that. Then the pain loses its power. It becomes a memory, not a prison. Post this affirmation in the comments if you're ready. My observation is my liberation. By writing it, you choose to stop resisting your past. Click like to align your electromagnetic signature with healing. A quantum reset begins. Do you know what happens when the inner cleansing begins? Your soul, your quantum self, starts steering your life. Your mind, which used to be the commander, becomes what it was always meant to be, a tool. For the first time, something else steps forward. A presence, a quiet authority. Inside you, a silence appears that you have never felt before. It isn't emptiness, it's fullness, a vast stillness, freedom from being controlled by your own thoughts. But what happens to the mind that ruled for so long? Does it simply fade away, or does it fight for power? Up until this moment, you've been lifting veils one by one. And once those veils fall, once true consciousness rises into the light, there is no going back. The thoughts that used to dictate your decisions lose their power. Your life stops being driven by fear and begins to be guided by awareness. And that is incredibly rare. Thoth called this state the waking trance. I call it the observer state. Here, you're more awake than ever. There are no emotional storms pulling you around, no anxious waves dragging you into old patterns. You see everything. You feel everything. Yet nothing pulls you out of that deep inner stillness. It's as if you're standing in the middle of a chaotic crowd, and yet nothing touches you. This is not running away from life. It's the opposite. It is finally living without being trapped in the story your mind keeps repeating. Life continues. Challenges still appear. But now you face them as a witness, not as a character drowning in the narrative. Your mind still speaks, but you no longer believe everything it says. Your emotions still rise, but you don't become them. You feel, but you don't vanish inside the feeling. And then something unexpected happens. Time slows down. That constant rush, the pressure, the stress of not enough time dissolves. Quantum physics calls this temporal flexibility. When you are fully in the present moment, you are no longer bound by linear time. You are operating within the quantum field, a field where all time exists at once. Fear loses its grip because you see it coming before it hits. Anger no longer controls your actions. You watch emotion appear, and you let it go. That is inner freedom. That is conscious creation. You're not reacting to life. You are shaping it. Say in the comments, I am the conscious observer. This is not just a sentence. It's a declaration of power. A quantum signature. You're the sky, not the storm. By writing it, you connect to the calm, unmoving part of yourself, the part that decides what happens next. Your consciousness begins to recognize that you're not trapped in the world. You are observing it. You're influencing it. Your perception of people changes. You stop seeing enemies. You start seeing lost souls carrying emotional debris, people drowning in their own forgotten pain. And compassion awakens. White heavy check mark expanded deeper. But can you stay like this all the time? With real life, traffic, deadlines, chaos? Here is where many fall asleep again. The mind wakes back up and whispers, this doesn't work in the real world. The moment you believe it, you return to the old story. It's not hard to wake up. The real challenge is staying awake in the noise. Alone, with your eyes closed, inner peace feels easy. But when you open your eyes, when the world pulls on you, when life demands something from you, it's easy to forget who you are. Thoth said, the true alchemist is the one who walks awake among the asleep and does not let them put him back to sleep. The world continues. News spreads fear. Society projects lack. That's just the collective static. This is where you choose who leads. The high frequency of your soul or the low frequency of the world. How does one remain conscious? 3 simple practices. Be exactly where your body is. If you're washing dishes, be there. If you're walking, be there. Presence is power. Choose silence on purpose. Even in noise, there is a space between stimulus and response. That space is where you create reality. Protect your frequency. Everything you consume, words, something quiet happens in that moment. The ego expected a grand event, but instead there is a deep inner silence. That's when you realize you already had everything you were searching for, not as achievement, but as a presence that never leaves. This is what Thoth called conscious unity. Between you and the universe, separation disappears. There is no seeker and no sought. You understand that you're not a tiny piece of existence. You are the whole ocean, the quantum field, living inside a single drop, your body. You no longer need answers because you finally see that life is the answer. There is only being, so questions fade away. How does this show up in everyday life, sometimes in surprising ways? It's not a floating state of mind. Conscious unity appears when you breathe with awareness. When you drink water, notice the miracle inside that simple act. The ordinary becomes sacred. Nothing changed, your awareness did. God is no longer separate from daily life. It is life. You don't need rituals to feel close. Simply being where you are is enough. There's nowhere else to get to. In this state, everything becomes simple, Thoth said that to live naturally is the highest form of knowing, not with apathy, but with surrender, accepting life as it is instead of resisting. Energy from the source flows freely where there is no resistance. This is where many go wrong. You don't leave the world to return to the source. It just changes how you live in it. Life still happens, but you aren't lost in it. You observe, you engage, but you don't feel owned by it. When you reach this point, Thoth says the part he never wrote down. There's no secret code. It's simpler than expected, which makes it profound. Nothing in the soul can be lost. Thoth taught that you can remember everything. Your knowledge and connection to the source have been with you since before birth. Truth never left you, even when everything else did. It was only covered by the static of forgetting. Remembering isn't mental, it's quantum recognition, like turning on a light in darkness. The light doesn't create anything. It reveals what was there all along. And then something finally happens. After clearing your mind, moving past illusions, and touching the soul's long-forgotten memory. There's a living memory that changes everything about who you think you are. You realize you're not the character. You're not the fear or the pain. You were the one witnessing it all. Consciousness was untouched, even while moving through the experience. You were the sky, unchanged by passing clouds. This is the secret they try to hide. Once a person remembers who they are, they become an infinite quantum awareness that cannot be controlled. Outside forces, limiting beliefs, or fear no longer have power. The soul can't be controlled. Once it knows, it is the observer. Power never came from outside. It was always within, waiting for you to notice it. Fear dissolves because there is nothing left to defend. There is nothing more to seek. This is true freedom. Freedom from being trapped by anything, not freedom to do anything you want. You'll still feel happiness and sadness, but now you know it's all just temporary movement of energy, unable to affect the silent, infinite awareness that watches. Your soul is ready. If you've made it this far, affirm in the comments, "I am remembering who I truly am." This is your quantum leap. By bringing this awareness from the quantum field into physical life, you announce that the great forgetting is over. You are awake. As your final act of commitment, subscribe to keep this awakening alive. It creates an energetic link to this frequency so your consciousness continues expanding as you adapt to your new reality. Before you go, I placed a special video on the screen. That is your next key. Click it, and I'll meet you there. And please share this message. Each share sends a wave of light into the collective consciousness. When you share a video, you activate the quantum grid, making this leap easier for everyone. Your role matters.